Welcome back to another episode of The Biz and the Bees. Today, we're diving into the world of digital marketing, a field that's changing at lightning speed. I'm joined by Will Ackerman, the founder of Pixel Path, a digital marketing agency that helps businesses navigate the complex world of online growth. In a time when AI is rewriting the rules of marketing, leaders like Will are on the front lines, figuring out what works and, more importantly, what doesn't. We're going to be talking about the real challenges businesses face in marketing today, how to build a better marketing agency, and where the true opportunities are in this new AI driven landscape. Will, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Philip.
Love to hear a little bit for those that folks that don't know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of jump into our discussion points.
Sure. So I've been building websites and playing in the digital space for pretty much my entire career. At this point, it's about 20 years. And what I've learned through the course of this is the technologies may change, but the behaviors and the needs that people have been pretty consistent. And so what I've been doing with my agency is basically building a bridge between traditional marketing, digital strategy, and now the emerging AI that's happening. So that way, through every touch point a business may have, they can grow faster. And part of that is providing AI automation, but making sure that everything is running smoothly because there are both people integrated into that process along with the automation that's occurring. Because at this point, as I think we're all starting to find out, AI is good at some things, but not everything.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I think it's a very insightful idea that you have that the business models, the core functions, don't really change given a new technology. The rules still apply to a large extent. I think that's very insightful on your part. Well, let's start with why agencies like Pixel Path are so essential. In your experience, what's the single biggest misconception or frustration your clients typically have with digital marketing before they come to you? What's their core problem that you find yourself solving over and over again?
Um, the core problem is why aren't people converting? They build the website, they have the best technology, and it doesn't perform the way the expectations have initially been set. And part of that, from my experience, is you need to be able to speak to the needs of your target audience or your visitor or your clients. If you talk about, for instance, and this has been a repetitive thing with clients that I've spoken with, as well as people just in general, they talk about how great their services are and what they have done, as opposed to what they can do for their potential clients. And as a result of that, when people typically read a website, they skim. There's a really good usability expert way back in the day, but even today, and I'm plugging him, Jacob Nielsen at UX Tigers, who basically put together the F pattern. When people look at a website, they basically scroll across the top, they go down a little bit, they go across a little bit, and then they go down. That takes about 5 seconds. And if you can't make an impact in 5 seconds, they disappear. And what that has shown is if you're speaking to what you can do and how great your services are, it doesn't answer that underlying behavioral need of, I need something done for me, but they're talking about themselves. That's a psychological thing that happens and they move on. So you have to be able to convert really quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's I think it's a key insight is it is about it sounds horrible a little bit, but it's the me factor, right? It's the what can you do for me? What's in it for me is what my dad used to call it, the whiffum. And if you leave that out, if you're just talking about what you can do, what you have done, it is, I can imagine it doesn't hit very well, right? Unless it's a perfect alignment. And that's very rare, I would imagine. So that's awesome. Um, how do you how do you go about helping customers find a voice that resonates? Like, what does that feel like? What does that process look like, especially in today with new tools, new availability, access to more data? Um, what does that look like and feel like for you guys?
Well, data is a killer asset, and everyone knows it. And this is essentially what AI has brought to light. The more data that you have available, good data, bad data creates other issues. But the more good data that you have available, the better decisions you can ultimately make. One of the things that tends to limit the growth of anyone, including myself, is focusing on the wrong data. So you need to make sure that you're looking at the right things, and what your users are doing is essentially the right things. If they're going through a particular path, you want to focus on those things, but you also want to focus on the things that are on the wrong path. Why are they doing that? Are there particular things that are drawing them that way? Because there's sometimes insights in that aspect that you can apply to the right path that will amplify that. You can think of that in terms of a conversion funnel, right? One landing page that I did a while ago was ask one free question, right? And what that did was is it brought a ton of people in, but as a result of that, they were lower quality than what we ultimately wanted. So we put in another question like, "What's your birthday? What's your name?" And that'll start limiting people out. But you can provide value in that. So, for instance, if you're asking for a birthday for horoscopes, you're going to get the right people. And then you're going to get better questions because you're better aligning the content for that audience. Now you have better data. With that being said, the tools that are out right now in terms of AI, ChatGPT, for instance, even the basic version or Perplexity, you can ask specific questions about behavior and audience use and be able to provide very interesting content that you can test in an A/B and sometimes ABC structure to see which is going to resonate best. Sometimes it's a little change of a word. Sometimes it's a change of position in terms of where someone's going to convert. But ultimately, you want the funnel to be very, very concise. You want to be able to provide the right information up front. You want them to be able to say that's right, and then give them the option to convert when the moment strikes. So to answer your question more concisely, the best way to use information and clients to help them convert is to be able to think about what they're asking for, make sure that what they have helps them be able to get there, and if not, provide the right questions to be able to get that out of them. I have a particular client that I'm working with right now where the challenge that they have is they want to be ranked high in SEO, but they never said why, right? So that was one of the things that I needed to work through with them. Is it to convert? Is it to build brand authority? Is it to provide thought leadership? And once those questions were asked, we were able to say, okay, this is what we need to do with SEO. This is how we target it, and this is how we need to structure your site in order to deliver onto your goal.
Yeah, that why is important, right? It really drives the how in a lot of cases because it can
Mhm.
change direction dramatically.
So you've probably heard of why why, right? Or you know why, what is it?
The 5 whys.
So so so, so is it the so what method,
Okay.
or the so what like you're doing this so this happens, but I use a so that. It's right. So instead of saying so why are you doing this, you do so that this can happen, right? And that helps kind of focus the overall conversation towards something that's going to deliver upon the desired expectations that someone is looking towards.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of, so this effect occurs, all right? So this is my desired outcome is achieved. I like that. And often I would imagine clients, and I have struggled in the why I'm doing something short of just it needs to be done, right? Um, so I think that's a valuable thing that you bring to your clients. So you
So
good.
yeah, and so that's the so that method helps answer that, right?
Yeah,
So why are you doing this? So that you can achieve this.
beautiful. I love that. So you talk about data, you talk about tools. There is a onslaught of access to new tools that can do everything from write copy to generate SEO to analyze data. To your point, if you're analyzing bad data, you get bad results. It's not to be unexpected at all. From your seat as the founder of Pixel Path, what's the biggest operational challenge this new reality creates for you guys? Is it about keeping your team skilled on the right tools, or is it more about proving your unique human strategy on top of the tech itself?
So from the way I look at it, right, it's always about the end goal and working back towards the tools that can provide that end goal. There are always going to be different tools, right? Back in the mid 2000s or early 2000s, there was Flash, right? Flash is gone. But it was great for certain things at the time, right? No longer needed. And that's always going to be the case. So my philosophy is you look at the goal and work back towards the tools that can help you achieve those goals. With that being said, one of the platforms that I'm playing with right now and really enjoy is the open AI art content platform, which basically is integrating more than a dozen models for video, more than a dozen models for imaging, and you can basically do anything and everything that you need. We were able to create a 30-second spot in 2.5 hours with prompts, right? And we did that. Uh, you put the prompt to create the image, you take the image, you create the video. Once you have the video, you create audio. Either from the client's voice, or you can use other tools like 11 Labs, and then you can sync it to the AI. Now you have yourself a commercial, and you can use a platform like Premiere or iMovie or any other that you want, including that platform, to be able to splice it together and put it together. 2.5 hours, right? Something that would have taken 6 months previously in no time whatsoever.
Yeah, and the sheer cost savings, time and cost savings is phenomenal these days on how much faster you can get there. How would you agree or disagree that you can arrive at disaster equally at the same breakneck speed if you're not well thought out, well strategized in your process?
Yes, I would say strategy is still owned by humans at this point. And the failures and the successes still lie in the hands of humans.
Do you see that for going to a different place anytime soon?
Um, it's hard to predict, but I think the likelihood of it getting there sooner than later is being thought about at this point, and you can see little signs of that, right? With ChatGPT and OpenAI saying they're no longer going to be prioritizing Reddit. That's a good step towards that because of all of the bad data that you're going to integrate on platforms like Reddit into the models. They're looking for more reliable sources. So yes, I think at some point soon it's likely.
Still comes back to data though, right?
It absolutely does.
It always does. We tell clients all the time over at Ripple, where yes, you do this thing, whatever it is you do really well. This widget building that you do is awesome, and you're the best at it. And I love what you're doing. However, what you fail to realize yet is that you are a data company. And the sooner you get to a point where you realize you're a data company, the sooner you'll be able to take advantage of this wealth of information, make better decisions, make faster decisions. We see that even in the strategic consulting space where it is truly data driven. And the faster we can get people to realize that, the more success they have in both short and long term decision making. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and absolutely agree with you. And it's always been that way. It's just now it's easier than ever before, especially with these large language models. One of the things that I think OpenAI is going to be doing in the short term, prior to the next model release, is they're going to start offering federated access. So you'll have the large models that they have, but you can put your own data into it, into a core isolated element, and be able to use that specifically to build your own products off of that. So if let's say you're a law firm with 100,000 cases, I know that's probably not that many at law firm, but let's just say, right, you have access to that. You'll be able to create a platform that you can then push out to create all of the legal documentation that you ultimately will need. And it will do it with the ability to say it's going in front of this judge who has this temperament, who rules this way, or you'll be facing this particular attorney who tends to do these things with these types of cases, and you'll be able to win on just about everything because you'll have it plotted out based off of the behaviors that are already documented in the case transcripts that you have in the system.
That's fascinating. That's interesting. I like that. I like this idea of it'll be fun whenever the law firms are all just online at this point, and they know each other so well that they're just that I can't wait for the deadlocks that occur.
Yeah,
It'll
indeed.
it'll become a game of points. So that's interesting. Well, looking ahead, the world is not slowing down at all, right? As you think about scaling Pixel Path over the next 12 to 18 months, what do you see as your single biggest hurdle for you guys as a company? Is it finding the right kind of talent that can blend the creative thinking with AI proficiency, or is it more about building the right strategic partnerships to expand your capabilities?
I think it's going to be more about building the right strategic partnerships, because what ultimately happens with technology is it changes so quick, right? Uh, Over the last year, you've seen 3 or 4 different model shifts within, Claude. You've seen the same thing with OpenAI, and with each release, it changes things, and the same thing has been true in the past, for instance, with Google's search algorithms, right? When they shifted to Panda, it broke everyone's SEO understanding, and they had to redo everything in order to be able to get ranked again. And the same thing's going to happen with each of these AI models as time goes on. So ultimately, it's going to be having the right partners and the right partnerships to understand who can fill in the gaps as new gaps are created.
Excellent. Yeah, I think we're as much buzz as there is about losing. I think jobs are going to shift. We're not going to take people out of the loop. We're just going to find new ways to plug them in and have them maintain and monitor and direct. So I think that's going to be that human on the loop is going to be around for a while. So
Yeah,
excellent.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
Well, look. Any parting thoughts, topics, or ideas that we didn't cover you'd like to expand on as it relates to what you do or where you see things going?
Um, just the only thing that I can really share is what really interests me at this point is what's going on with entertainment and how some of these new platforms like Sora 2 are coming into play. It's really going to reshape the entertainment industry and gaming going forward because of how quickly you're going to be able to build things. So the Roblox platform, which is really the only successful metaverse platform out there at this point, right? As you start getting tools like Sora, you're going to see it level up quite a bit.
Hmm.
And with that leveling up, you're going to, I think, and my gut tells me you're going to find a new type of entertainment. The same way that movies have kind of shifted from long form into now the primary viewed medium are TikToks that are 12 seconds or 30 seconds. You're going to now start seeing that shift in gaming as well, where these types of videos may be integrated or become games themselves. Do you remember Dragon's Lair? I know it's an old game.
Yeah, I do.
Remember how different that was compared to Pac-Man at the time? It was like playing a video or like an animation game.
Yep.
Um, that's what I think is going to be happening to entertainment, and it's going to create a whole new opportunity for people.
Sir, I'm old enough to remember Pong. So that's awesome. Well, Will, this has been a fantastic look behind the curtain of modern marketing. It's clear that while the tools are changing, the need for real strategy and the human expertise is more important than ever. I appreciate you sharing insights with us on this topic. For our listeners who want to learn more about Pixel Path or you yourself, what's the best place for them to go find out more about you guys?
So there's 2 things that I can offer. One is pixelpathdigital.com,
Okay.
and the other is the pandorasbot.com, which is a newsletter where I write on a weekly basis covering AI. The idea behind it is covering the unintended consequences of AI. Last week, we took a look at a law talking about that's coming out in the Ohio Congress,
I
a
read
House
that.
bill talking about banning AI marriage. So people are talking about loving their AI chatbots and falling in love with them and marrying them. And so now what's happening is Ohio is putting a bill forth to prevent that from happening. But the unintended consequence of that is it's also going to prevent people from hiding crimes in their AI chats. Because one of the core benefits of marriage, of course, is you can't have your spouse um, put you at risk, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're putting everything online in your AI chats and you're married to it, is that protected? They didn't think about that when they put this bill out, but it's going to protect the legal system from those types of claims.
I signed up for your newsletter last week, so it was an interesting read, and I think it's a goods unintended, as opposed to most unintended side effects are not good. So I think this one's a win for the good guys. So that's awesome. Well, look, I will make sure to link out to that newsletter and to your site as well. A huge thank you to Will for being here, a guest on the Biz and the Bees. And if you guys like what you heard, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.